call to order the Common Council meeting for August 18th at 5:33. Roll, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Bowman?
Here.
Councilmember Roshi Campbell? Here. Councilmember Walsh Russo? Here. Councilmember McHugh? Councilmember Lopez Shu? Councilmember Harrington?
Here.
Councilmember Marks?
Here.
Councilmember Matheson?
Here. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here tonight. We have 5 council members.
I see that.
Yeah, we're able to.
Just counting.
So tonight, the first part is my remarks. We have the airport update, the update on the 5th Ward council member replacement, and there's 2 other items which were bulleted. So we'll start at the top, the airport update. This is just general information for the council to keep you apprised of what's going on at the airport. Specific to the off-site obstruction process, Greg and I met last night following an invite to property owners in the area to meet with us. We met with them, discussed some of their concerns or questions. We have received a great deal of information from the engineers as far as the offsite obstruction, how they would address it, and met with the FAA, I think, 2 weeks ago, as far as where they are in the cycle time for the project cycle funding review process. And so now we're sort of entering the stage where we are presenting them with the financial aspect of the easements and the actions that would be taken relative to individual properties. It's going to start on the southern side or the 6th side of the runway, and then once because that information is available, then it will go to the 24 side or the north side once that becomes available. That hasn't been delivered yet. So we'll be presenting them information. It's a great deal of information. They all asked to receive A to Z of it, which they will get, and then I'll update you as we move forward and talk with them. They've requested another group meeting in September, which we will do, and then we'll meet with them individually as requested once they receive their individual paperwork. Quick update on that. So if you have any questions, hopefully that will be enough so you can be able to respond effectively. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Next, 5th Ward Council Member update. As I mentioned at the last meeting, it would certainly have been ambitious to have a nomination ready for tonight, but we do have, I think, a very positive update. We start off with 3 candidates that submitted. 1 decided to withdraw, but we have 2 candidates that are interested in taking on the seat. We have Valerie Cole and Amin Zoe, and I'm also happy to see that Amin is here tonight to join us. So our Deputy Mayor and 6th Ward Council Member Scott Harrington and myself will be meeting with each of those candidates in the next week to talk with them about their goals and their interest in the position. And then following that, we'll make a recommendation, or I will be making a recommendation to the council, which will then go through the committee, the Financial Administration and Strategic Operations Committee. Hopefully that'll be next Thursday that they'll be on the agenda for review, and then action at the next council meeting, which will be on September, first meeting in September. So it's, thank you for Amin and Valerie stepping forward as candidates for this position. Look forward to getting to know you better and talking to you about it, and then making a recommendation for the council to review and vote on at the next meeting. Third, we have hopefully getting close to the end on the process of the fencing requirement for the Market Street trash collection area. It's on the agenda for Planning Commission tomorrow night, which could be an actionable item for them. And if it is approved, then they can move forward with construction. I don't know the timeline, but when we started this at the end of June, or at least when we approved the license for Logan's to do this, it was expected it might take 3 to 4 months for them to do that. And I would say it seems to be on schedule. Maybe a little bit slower than we would like if we call ourselves impatient, but it seems to be working okay. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll have some approvals and they will have a timeline of when that will be installed. Lastly, maybe just for fun, is that more on a personal note, that August 18th is, it's for my wife, Anna Laura, who's not here. It's our 19th wedding anniversary today. And so, and a romantic guy that I am, I came here to be with you all, and she's at home waiting for me. I think we'll make it to 20. We made it this far. This isn't the worst that she's had to endure with me. So, but at least wanted to recognize 19 years today. I'm very happy. Public hearings. We have a public hearing today. It's a hearing to receive comments on an ordinance modifying the City of Oneonta Municipal Code, Chapter 282, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 11, Enforcement of Penalties, Section 48, Penalties for Violations of Chapter. This ordinance was laid electronically on July 23rd, 2026, and approved by the Common Council on August 4th at our last meeting. So I'll open the hearing, correct? You need a time? 5:39. That hearing is open. Does anyone want to present anything about that? Okay, if you don't, we'll just have to wait until 5:40 to close that meeting, that hearing, but. I think we're good. Okay, we'll close that hearing at 5:40. Now we come to the first opportunity to address the council. If you wish to address the council, you may do so. You will have 3 minutes once you state your name and your connection to the city, and then you're on your way. So would anyone like to take this opportunity to address the council? Yes, please. State your name, connection, and you're on your way.
My name is JC Chase, and I live in the city of Oneonta. Last year, this council voted unanimously to approve a contract for ALPR cameras in this city. Since then, many areas have been ending similar contracts. Town Supervisor Will Rivera has also recently proposed a ban on ALPRs in the town of Oneonta. I asked the city to immediately end the contracts with Motorola and Axon and to implement similar policies to protect our privacy and freedom. It's been falsely stated that ALPRs are the same technology our city has been using for 20 plus years, but I want to make sure that folks understand that with AI and other technological advances, nothing today works the way it did even 5 years ago, let alone 20. Unlike red light and speed cameras, which theoretically would be triggered by a specific violation, ALPRs record data on every single vehicle regardless of the driver's conduct. The name automated license plate reader is a bit of a misnomer considering they can identify far beyond license plate numbers, like your make and model, dents and scratches on your car, bumper stickers, drivers and passengers within the vehicle, and GPS coordinates paired with precise dates and times. They feed images into large databases to be analyzed by AI, which has led to false positives, causing innocent civilians to be detained, having weapons drawn on them, and even spending time in prison. They can and have been used to track and locate protesters, people seeking abortions and gender-affirming care, and people with particular immigration statuses. Police Lieutenant Berger told the Daily Star that they have an agreement with a couple of other law enforcement agencies, but wasn't sure off the top of his head which ones. Considering the use cases I just listed, we should absolutely be concerned about which ones. A class action suit in California states that Motorola uses data from its cameras for its own commercial purposes and has had security breaches that allowed data to be viewed without any login credentials. Motorola boasts that their fixed ALPR cameras, like what the city uses, can run advanced analytics to uncover vehicle associations and predict future vehicle locations. This goes far beyond snapping a photo of your car as it passes by. They are building a detailed predictive map of our lives. Axon delivers dystopian levels of surveillance state overreach. They brag on their website about how the technology connects with third-party private security camera systems and doorbell cameras to give law enforcement access to images and footage without a warning. Where are Fourth Amendment rights in that process? I want to thank Councilperson Moshe Campoli for being the only person on the council at the time who asked any follow-up questions before voting. Unfortunately, all you asked was to define fixed LPR assets. And I hope in the future that you all ask a lot more informed questions, like who owns this technology, what data is being collected, how is this data being stored, who else can access it, who's running audits on the access logs, how is AI being used, are people's locations being tracked or predicted, is there facial recognition, and can it be used on children? And most importantly, do we actually need this in Oneonta? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to take this opportunity?
I just wanted to make a comment. We had a meeting in.
No, real quick, name and connection to the city, and then please proceed.
My name is Dave Rowley. I have no connection to the city other than I was born in the city. Now I live in the town of Oneonta. Anyway, I'm on a committee, the Oneonta Committee for the Wallach Hills. In September, late September, we're bringing what we call the Traveling Mobile Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall to Niwa Park. We had an incredible, the reason I'm speaking is we had a really positive meeting, thanking Greg, Dan, and Chris in Niwa Park yesterday at the site to figure out how we can do the electric connections to the wall and to the media education center that's going to be with the wall. So thank you very much for helping us out, and we are all set, quite frankly. It was much easier than we thought.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to take this opportunity? Yes, please, go ahead.
Hey, Councilman Mayor Butterman, my name is Alon Zoe. As Mr. Butterman mentioned, I am interested in running for the 5th Ward. I currently reside in the 5th Ward. I am the current Career Services Director at the Oneonta Job Corps. So here I just kind of help with the education, training, and work-based learning of our students. A little bit about me, I come from Oklahoma. I was born and raised in Kansas initially by my grandmother. She's 85 today. She instilled in me hard work, responsibility, accountability, and just the right ethics to help serve the community. I own my own businesses from 2018 to 2014, or 2024. It was in retail, agriculture, transportation. At my peak, we had about 30 to 40 employees. That experience actually helped me strengthen my leadership abilities, understand the economics of running a business, and just being able to serve people as well as support a business. I look at the city, any government as a business, right? And as well as managing budgets. I have a PhD in IO psychology, which just stands for industrial and organizational psychology. That just means that I love to help people, right? I love to apply psychological principles to the workforce, and I believe in, again, hard work. I do believe that sometimes people may need a hand up in life, but I also believe that the work you put in is what you're going to receive in life. And I just ask for your support in my campaign, and I look to have my name on the ballot in November, and I'm open to any questions that you may have for me. You know, it's nice meeting you all, but I do look forward to meeting you one-on-one in person at some point. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else like to take this opportunity? There is a second opportunity. If you're not ready, go ahead.
My name is Tyler Vanderwall. I'm a local resident. I've heard two commonly cited concerns about the good cause eviction law from the council, and I'd like to address those. The first being that the law is not suitable for cities of our size. So contrary to this perspective, about 40% of the municipalities that have adopted this law are smaller than Oneonta. Here's a quote from an email from Councilmember Paloma Wake from the city of Beacon, which has a population about 1,000 less than Oneonta. Quote, I do believe that GCE supports clear communications and relationships for landlords as well, end quote. And further quoting, quote, I am not aware of any landlords that have left Beacon because of GCE, and regardless, the rental market in Beacon is definitely still booming, end quote. If the council remains concerned about the efficacy of the good cause eviction law in smaller municipalities, I would highly suggest, as part of your research, reaching out to Councilmember Paloma Wake, or any of the municipalities smaller than ours that have passed the law. The size of Oneonta is not a substantial hindrance. The other concern is how this will affect small landlords, and I'll answer this quickly. Are small landlords planning to raise the rent by more than 10% each year? Are they planning to refuse a lease renewal to local residents in favor of renting to tourists? If not, then they have nothing to be concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this moment? Like I said, there'll be a second opportunity at the back end of the agenda, so we have another opportunity. All right, we'll move forward. Any correspondence? No correspondence? So we'll move to our presentation tonight. Our presentation tonight is from Dave Rowley, a member of the 47 Chestnut LLC, managing board and the Friends of the Oneonta Theater. He's going to give us an update on the theater. And as a heads up on this, I've had many conversations with him and the Friends of the Theater about how the theater can be revitalized and reopened. It would be great to see concerts and performances there again. And so at subsequent meetings from tonight, there'll be, I think, a few action items that I'd like to present for the council to consider. But I think it'd be important to start with sort of where we are with the theater. So, Mr. Rowley, the floor is yours.
I'm still Dave Rowley, by the way.
I was one time.
I provided a handout. Basically, it's the roadmap of the last 8 years. And I would point out that on the top of the handout, it says restoration, not renovation. This is a restoration, which means as much as possible, this of the original interior and exterior of the theater will be restored, not changed. A good example of one exception of that would be theater seating. Theater seating now is several inches, I believe, wider than the original seats in the theater. So the seats will be obviously completely new. There's no way to restore the seats that are there. Consequently, by the way, we lose some capacity because we have to enlarge the seats. 2018, Friends of the Oneonta Theater engaged Web Management Services, and the point was to evaluate the viability of an active and restored Oneonta Theater. They worked with an architectural firm, Holtzman, Moss, and Patino, and that's where they produced a 60-page comprehensive report, which is available. Anyone would like to read it. And their conclusion was very simple. A renovated and reactivated Oneonta Theater is viable, and that the theater has great value as a historic asset and a downtown anchor. Fast forward to 2020, that's when the board of directors of the Friends of the Oneonta Theater created a limited liability company known as 47 Chestnut LLC. The idea for this came from Philip Morris, who is the CEO of Proctor's Theater and Proctor's Collaborative in Schenectady. Many of us who have been to Proctor's Theater understand what an incredible restoration that was and how successful that project is. They currently employ in several different projects that they do and use 170 people with a budget of 20 million people. So they took a dilapidated theater and made it into an incredible economic engine for Schenectady. That resulted in 47 Chestnut, at his suggestion and his model, 47 Chestnut LLC, coupled with Friends of the Oneonta Theater. The Friends is a 501c3, so you can make a donation to Friends, it's tax deductible. It was 47 Chestnut LLC that took possession of the Oneonta Theater. And that was shortly after it formed, and approximately 32 individuals and couples purchased $5,000 shares in 47 Chestnut LLC. Shortly after it was formed, the theater was purchased. Where we are now is we are in the design stage. So Thaler, Riley Wilson Architects at Albany, we're working with Mark Thaler, one of the principals in the firm. He's currently under a $124,000 contract to design a total restoration of the theater with an anticipated cost between $20 and $30 million. Very expensive restoration. When I say total, it will include everything. A new roof, new electrical service, all new electrical wiring, all new plumbing, all new floors, HVAC, doors, bathrooms, dressing rooms, stage lighting, renovation and restoration of the stage. And that's why it's such an expensive project. Personally, I remember theater from the 1950s when the balconies were open. And of course, this is going to include reopening the balconies, which is why the capacity of seating is where it is. Originally opened in 1898. I think I saw my first Disney movie at the Oneonta Theater. And it was a beautiful place, I have to tell you. So, we are obviously waiting for the complete architectural plans. Once we have completed architectural plans, they will be submitted to the National Park Service for review. Upon approval from the National Park Service, the Friends of the Oneonta Theater will proceed to sell historic tax credits on the open market. They'll be syndicated. Normally that happens through a large financial institution. And it allows someone that has a tax liability to purchase tax credits at a cost less than their tax liability. And that money then goes to the Friends of the Oneonta Theater. And this is an opportunity, we believe, to literally raise millions of dollars. What we have is when we get to incomes protection, we have a viable project. We are then under construction restoration. We can then go and we can apply for grants to the Council of Arts, both in the state and the national. What we have to do, obviously, is get to that point. So what are we doing right now? We have two priorities right now. One, we are renegotiating reorganizing our debt. It was debt that was assumed when the theater was taken, when we took possession of the theater. It was the debt of the previous owner. This will allow us to reduce significantly our monthly payments. Okay. The other thing we're working on that's really important, we have 2 apartments that are offline. If you recall, we had a fire. There was a fire that was set. So we have a significant renovation to do. In that apartment, we have another apartment that's empty. That needs what I would refer to as a refreshing, not a total renovation. Incredibly important for us to get the apartments back online. Incredibly important for us to reorganize our debt, because then what happens is our monthly balance sheet becomes positive, and we are viable, sustainable as we go about completing the architectural plans and applying for historic tax credits. So we look forward to working with the city. We're all volunteers. No one's making a profit, believe me. Not even close to that. And so I'm happy to take any questions if you have any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions this time? Yes, please.
I'm just curious as to the relationship with the Foothills Performing Arts Center and Civic Center. Would you be joining together?
Collaborative. The Oneonta Theater, because of the stage and the flyway, can actually do a Broadway play. It has an orchestra pit. It also has a much higher capacity for seating. So I think the 2 organizations can work together. Foothills will certainly have a place in Oneonta, and there'll be shows that would be more appropriate probably for Foothills, yet there'll be shows that can go to the Oneonta Theater that could not be put on at Foothills. That's an ongoing, I think, discussion. Ed probably knows more about that than I do. I don't think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be a complementary situation.
Good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you,
You're welcome.
Dave, for being here and the presentation. As I said, I will be bringing forward a couple of recommendations for council action that we can support what they are doing to get the theater reopened again and being, like you said, an anchor of downtown activity. So we'll discuss that, I think, at the next meeting, some things that we can do to help them that are certainly in line with what the city can and should be doing to support downtown economic development and quality of life and the treasure that I think the Oneonta Theater is. And as you said, restored is a good word because it is, when you walk in, it's impressive because you can see what it was. At the same time, you see where it is. And then you start to think where it can get back to. So I'm very thankful that you're taking on this big load, heavy lift to make it happen. So thank you. Moving on to the city administrator's report, you have his, I don't know where it went, but the spotlight somewhere around here. So, ready for the administrator's report?
Thanks, Mayor. I emailed this to you guys just before the meeting as well, so you have it your email box. A few updates, capital improvement projects. These went through the finance administration and strategic operations committee this past week, and you have some motions on your agenda tonight regarding Wall Street parking lot reconstruction and lawn and Hill Place sidewalk and curb. First project, Wall Street, we expect DPW will begin demolition of existing concrete prepping subbase at the very end of August, first week in September. Following week, the George Construction will be pouring a new sidewalk and curb along that section. It will likely, depending on the timing of the paving contractor, will likely reopen the lot for a period of time before we close it again to do the milling, subbase work, and paving in mid to late September. Lawn Ave and Hill Place sidewalk and curb that'll follow along. So once DPW has completed their work in the parking lot, they'll move to Lawn Ave, Hill Place, remove that sidewalk, prep the subbase for George for the next week, and then milling and paving on those dead end streets to follow. DPW is also doing some work at the lower reservoir. They're improving the access roads so they can bring in some heavier equipment to be able to clean out and eventually make some renovations to our bypass structure that allows water from the creek to bypass the lower reservoir for maintenance. You may recall, will recall, Katie Energy had talked with us preliminarily about developing a proposal proposal for solar installation on Silas Lane. They're still working on that. We haven't heard from them much in a few months. They've been working, getting some information. Hope to come back to us with a proposal that would provide energy behind the meter to the wastewater plant, with the rest of that not being utilized would be through remote crediting used at other city facilities. They're still developing their proposal, so you have to work with us on that. Tyler Technology implementation, our financial system is live. We're still implementing in a kind of a phased approach, different modules or pieces within that. But we are working within the system, and you'll notice tonight we have one more instance, I believe, of our warrants motion being a little different than normal, so we should be caught up with invoicing by the end of this week, I believe. Going forward, we'll be back to the regular process. The My Oneonta app, as it will be called, is something that we'll send out. Carrie's going to organize a demonstration call or recording for the council at some point soon in the future. You see how that's going to work. We're also working on the enterprise asset management configuration and the utility billing system. That's going to be going live in September. There are a number of other modules that still need to be implemented, so we'll continue to provide updates for the rest of the year. Our auditor, EST, has merged with Gallagher Flynn and Company, so they're now EST Gallagher Flynn. Nothing really changes as far as finance offices, interaction with them. We work with the same people. Our contract transfers over, and as far as audit for 2025 is concerned, Jimmy is going to present the financial statements to the auditor for review, and then later this fall, as we typically do, we'll invite the auditor to either attend a meeting virtually or in person to answer any questions and give an overview of the audit. Occupancy tax bill has been delivered to the governor, so once that is signed, we will then be able to move forward with the process of drafting and adopting a local law to implement that tax. Wilbur Pool is open this week as long as we have enough lifeguards, which the YMCA has been able to provide thus far. This is the extended week that we had talked about and the council had authorized earlier this summer. So I want to thank them as well as DPW maintenance crew for being able to pull that off. So if all things go well, we'll be able to stay open through the end of this weekend. After that, DPW in coordination with FOF will begin the demolition of the existing wading pool to prep for the splash pad installation. We're just waiting to hear from the equipment supplier on what their time is for that equipment installation this fall. Pavement maintenance, microplate paving has been completed. We previously sent lists to the council. Many of those streets, including the streets that we've milled and paved, have been listed under pavement markings. We'll be refreshing those markings. You may have seen West Dot lot kind of a mess right now. People not having the lines to follow, so we'll get those repainted as well as the rest of the streets on the list. That's all I had tonight. If you have any questions,
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, please.
Yes, could you explain a little bit more about the Acadia Energy proposal down at Silas Lane? I know there was a concern, and I'm going to walk the property with one of the people that have sent us an email. We just haven't been able to meet quite yet. But just so we all have an understanding of the size and where exactly it will be located.
And just real quick to clarify, is that the email that you're talking about, is that
Yes.
a letter that we got from the Oneonta Susquehanna
Yes.
Gateway? Because I was gonna bring that up as well, so thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, we've been trying to meet and
Okay.
walk the property, and I'm just trying to get an idea of where that is, and I think they have some legitimate concerns.
Carolyn, I just want to mention before, I'm sure Greg will be able to fill you in, but I just want to direct you, I can send you all the information that came in a packet. They came, the representatives from Acadia came several times to meet with us. And we had extensive conversations with them, and they provided a lot of material in terms of the proposal. And so I can forward that to you if you're
Oh,
interested.
please, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
they met with the Climate Smart Communities program. I haven't seen the email that you're referring to, but I know that the Climate Smart Communities group had an opportunity to ask questions, and they answered them, and it was a really fruitful and productive
Okay,
discussion.
thank you, appreciate
So
that.
I can forward you all that.
Thank
They
you.
were quite thorough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Cecilia. If there's anything that you can't find, I have that as well. So again, their proposal hasn't, their final proposal hasn't been submitted to us, so I can't say exactly what they're proposing, but based on our discussions, there's kind of a couple of things that we're looking at. The area, at one point, we're looking at the area where our DWR currently is versus potentially putting solar panels there and relocating the yard. And then we kind of came back around to the area that used to be used as a soccer field and hasn't been used in probably 10 years, I'm not sure, several years at least for soccer. That area and a little bit further to the west would potentially be.
So the
area.
soccer area, which is not being used and it's really not mowed either. So is that the part of the,
That's essentially the area. Now, there's a floodway, and not
Yes,
to
there
get
is.
too technical, but floodway would not be impacted. The floodplain, which is the 100-year flood zone, we recognize that would be impacted. There would have to be a floodplain development permit in town, as well as if there was a portion in the city. Where the city-town line is essentially the end of Silas Lane. So once you cross that, the soccer field, where the used to be soccer field, is in the town of Oneonta, where everything east of that is in the city, so there would be a dual approvals needed from the town and the city, depending on where that project lies. So all of those questions would have to be answered once they submit a proposal, and then have to go through that process. If there is a project that goes forward, there would not be any significant impacts to trees. I know the Greenway Committee was concerned about a trail along the river. That wouldn't be impacted by the project. There would be no impacts to wetlands. All of that stuff have to be addressed, but from what we looked at with that preliminary discussions, there were no significant impacts to that. So the Greenway Trail itself would be largely unimpacted. There is a cut across the field that would be maintained, and the overall would really wouldn't be impacted from what I've seen. Does that kind of give you an overview?
it
without
does.
Being able to see it in front of your hand?
Thank you, appreciate that.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So, one of the objections was regarding the cut across the walkway, is that right? Or the path?
Yeah, it's not really, I don't know, if I would call it an official part of the trail, what I consider the full loop, but where the soccer field is, I believe people cut across from where the parking lot is to go straight to the river rather than going around. That could be maintained with the project.
Thank you.
Other questions for the report? Okay. Well, thank you. Moving on to committee reports. First up is Community Legislation, Infrastructure, and Public Safety, which is Councilmember Harrington. That's you.
Yeah, so we met on Tuesday, August 11th at 5:30. This is the first meeting of getting all of our assignments for all the committees coming from us. Trying to figure out, go through and kind of strategize on what we want. Bring in what was left out. Like I told them, Greg and I met before this, only because we had so much, we didn't know really what to put on. We just said, I figured we'll just do it at the committee, which is kind of what we did. We went through a lot of stuff. We were looking at, so first off, I'm gonna start backtrack a little bit. I just need to leave you, but public safety, part of it, we are looking at the quote unquote cameras, I wrote flock cameras, but they're not flock. We got the Motorola, I believe, once, but, and we're looking at those on what, part of it was what policies, what are our policies, we're gonna wanna look at those, we're gonna review those. We're also looking at what we share with, we want a memo from our chief and our lieutenant. And we also talked about a statement going out, kind of like Delhi PD did, that this is what it is, this is what they're used for, we're not doing X, Y, and Z. Try to do that, and overall, maybe see if we keep them or we don't. It's gonna be a committee, and we're gonna look at them, go from there. A lot of it's fact finding, Conversation around the Halloween parade came up, in times, and should it be on Halloween, should it be on the weekend, I don't really think our committee had a strong feeling one way or the other, except for one person on there, so. But it's a private, I just want to put out there, it's a private organization that hosts it for us, so whatever's convenient for them.
It's Rotary stuff, right?
Rotary, yeah. Talked about the traffic speed studies throughout the city, where we stood with that. We're, I think, 75 to 85% done with that. Sergeant Brzezowski's doing that himself, so, and all that is we're just doing what the speeds are, it doesn't, no license plates or nothing, that's just strictly speed, what it is on the road, because we want to see with the speed study if we can lower our speed limit in the city down from 30 to lower. That'll help in some of our areas of concern with the speeders. You know, we also talk about visual cues versus, you know, redoing the streets, because as we do the streets, we're trying to work at narrowing them down and, you know, do certain things, like raise crosswalks and stuff like that. We did talk about East Street again. I know Councilmember Russo, that's been on her radar, East Street, trying to get that slowed down in some areas there. And what we might be able to do in the short term versus long term solutions. I mean, we went through a whole stuff, talked about the tobacco still there, talked about board of commissions real quick in terms of, you know, maybe do we need all the boards and commissions that we have? We're gonna take a look at that. We look at our emergency preparedness still, our brush waste, yard data, our sidewalks. We are gonna stick with Center City, like we're talking about in our click, former click. We recognize that there's a lot of foot traffic there, and those are the sidewalks that we really need help, so we want to kind of concentrate there. We have Washington update, Washington Street update. We talked about communications, and we're kind of stood with that, and we kind of stepped back a little bit, so we're not quite ready for an RFP to go out. There's a couple of concerns that we're going to talk our next meetings, like what's the goal, what's the website, what do we want to look at, so we do it, we don't want to waste our staff's time. And at the end of the meeting, I just happened to kind of commented on it, and everybody kind of said yes to it. The more we can do with the committee members can do ourselves, the less it's good we're going to put on the staff. So we're going to try to have everything done, give it to the staff, say this is what we want to carry out, how do we do it. So we already have most of the legwork done to try to make their jobs a little bit easier.
Thank you. Any questions on the report? I think there's some items that come back in the next meeting, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, one other thing, we did talk about good clause eviction.
That was
Well, I
in
wanted
our
to bring that
tweets.
up.
It's on my-
You're
It's
ready.
considering the Senate.
My backup notes for you.
Yeah, that's about when I started taking notes. I forgot I had to take notes in the meeting.
Okay.
So, well, we did talk about good cause eviction law. We're trying to get caught up, you know, because, you know, some of us weren't on the legislative committee. We want to kind of read it, what we can do. We're going to be asking our attorney, because a petition that was given to us, what we can change versus what we can't change, how structured is it from the state. You know, I'm not an attorney, so I gotta ask these questions, and we're gonna ask those in the meeting coming up, so
Good. That's next week then.
possibly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe so.
Thank you. Okay, Finance, Administration, and Strategic Operations, who ran?
Cecilia was out.
You're up
so
to,
I,
all right, Councilmember Matheson, you're up.
So the committee met, excuse me, on August 12th. We had 7 agenda items, and the committee put 2 of the items on the discussion agenda. The first one on the discussion agenda is a proposal related to facilities management staffing. This is the proposed changes that would cost the city about $64,000. So because there's money involved, like a fair amount of money, I thought it'd be worth discussing. The second item for discussion is approval of the airport parallel taxiway contract. This is an almost $4 million contract, a bit more than $100,000 would be the city's share, which is 2.5% of the overall contract. The council has already voted to go ahead with this project. The reason I'd like to discuss it again it's related to what the mayor had said earlier when he gave us an update. The city has yet to come to terms with several airport neighbors regarding their trees. Some of them have to be cut. So I believe it's important for the council to get an update, which you did, on this issue. And then if we vote for the contract, the question that I have is, will it help resolve the dispute with the neighboring property owners or not? And this gives us an opportunity to talk about it tonight. The other 5 agenda items were all routine matters, and that's on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? I know some questions will probably come up when we get to the motion part. No questions? Okay, thank you for the report. So we're now into the motion, Motion 1, approval of warrants. Motion that the common council approves the warrants received as of August 18th, 2026, in a total amount to be determined following the complete implementation of the accounts payable module within the Tyler Technology ERP Pro Financial System, provided that the detailed list of warrants shall be presented to the common council for review as soon as it is available. A motion, please. Motion Campbell first. Second is, I'm not sure if it's first, but Harrington, Councilmember Harrington gets it. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mosher Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
The yeses have it. Consent agenda, which are motions number 2 through 11. Would anyone like to move any of those out before we move forward? Yes, please.
I'd like to pull number 11, please.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else would like to move any consent to discussion? Okay. Okay, I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented then? Okay, Councilmember Matheson first, Councilmember Campoli second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mosher Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're on to discussion agenda, which will be motions 11, 12, and, well, 11 through 15, right? Yep, 11 through 15. Okay, you pulled motion 11 from consent agenda. Would you like to start with that one?
Okay, that would move to executive session.
Okay, that one has to do with a particular issue. So we'll be discussing, make sure I get this right, we'll discuss that in executive session. When we come out of executive session, then we'll act on it, correct? Okay, so we'll go to 12 for right now. And motion 12, that the common council authorizes the revised 2026 Department of Public Works Facilities and Maintenance Division organizational chart and staffing plan as presented. Motion, Councilmember Harrington first, Councilmember Marks second. Okay, who would like to go first?
Don Robson.
Right, I was wondering if that
Okay, yes, please, go ahead.
Greg could give us an outline of what that's all about.
Okay, sure.
Sure. Just pulling up my packet, well, I'm not sure it's printed out for you, but the FASA explanation packet. Did everyone ever have a chance to read through that? Given that that's on the agenda. So essentially, there's a few things we're proposing. So if you look at the current structure, we have 10 full-time employees. The proposed structure maintains 10 full-time employees in the facilities maintenance crew in DPW. Currently, we have a supervisor, which is an admin position. We'll maintain that position, doesn't change. We have currently 2 working supervisors that are full-time, which are CSEA positions. One of those has essentially 2 full-time maintenance workers, plus the 4 seasonal student workers that are budgeted, reporting to them typically. There's some flexibility in how we manage things day to day, but that's typically how we look at it. The other working supervisor has 3 maintenance workers and 2 buildings and grounds workers. The difference there is the buildings and grounds workers are typically working in the downtown area. They're the ones that are just cleaning inside the building, city hall, training about public safety building. Others help out there, but they're essentially almost all the time doing that work. Not so much working in the parks and not so much doing building renovation projects or other things that the facilities maintenance crew does. The proposed change would sort of be 2-phased. So if you look at April 1st through October 31st of the year, that's the park season per se. We've got the opening of the parks, preparing them for the busy season and the closing of them, and of course the summer season. So during that time, we would like to propose that we have a part-time working supervisor, just April 1st through October 31st, who their hours may vary. This would depend on the individual we're able to recruit and exactly what the needs of the department are. They may work seasonally when the student workers are here, which is typically about 3 months, end of May, June, July, into August, depending on whether they're a high school student or a college student. They would be supervising that group plus 3 full-time maintenance workers who are primarily focused on the parks work. So the reason we have that part-time seasonal position is because the workload picks up and the number of employees with the seasonal workers picks up in the summer. The other working supervisor would continue to supervise what we would suggest would be 2 carpenters, as 2 of our maintenance worker positions being upgraded to carpenters, plus the 3rd maintenance worker, plus the 2 buildings and grounds workers. The reason we're proposing 2 carpenter titles is because we have at least a few individuals on staff now who are able to do this type of work. We would likely be able to promote one of them to this title, and we may need to recruit another from the outside to fill this title, but this is a little bit more in line with the type of work we're asking them to do. Some of the renovations you see around City Hall, engineering, downstairs, most of the offices downstairs we've done in the last few years. We've been doing more of this work in-house than ever before in my career. It's been a long time before that since the city has done this type of work in-house. So to be able to recruit and appropriately compensate individuals who have a little bit more skilled labor when it comes to carpentry, hence the title carpenter. That doesn't mean that's all they do. They would still do other tasks, anything below that in the sense of a CSEA grades to be down title. They consider that all the maintenance work that they do now, they can continue to do. This just help us recruit and retain talented individuals who can do that type of thing. So that is it in a nutshell. I guess what I didn't explain was during the winter, when we don't have a seasonal working supervisor, everyone else was they fall in line with the seasonal work of the winter, which you still have building renovations, you still have maintenance work, the parks are a little bit less busy, you don't have the seasonal workers in the park, and you don't have that seasonal working supervisor. So I don't know, Chris, blew through that, but if you want to add anything as to what we're talking about, please.
Right now, I really would like to push for at least getting the carpenters. If everyone's concerned about budget, and want to talk about budget for 2027, we can save it for the budget discussion. So I'm really looking for the carpenter titles right now. That's what we can get approved tonight. As Greg mentioned, it's related to retainage. I have 1 maintenance worker that is a skilled carpenter. I would like to retain them. They do fantastic carpentry work. Greg named a few, but I made a list for here. We've done the clerk's office, the mayor's conference room, the administrator's office, purchasing, part of finance, engineering, Niwa Park Large Pavilion restoration, Wilbur Shade Structure, Craft Pavilion. This is just to name a few. And every time that we can have our staff do the work, and we just pay for materials and our staff salaries, we are saving because we're not having to pay for prevailing wage rates. And so there is a significant savings to taxpayers by getting our staff to do this type of work and not hiring contractors. I've proven it with our water main project, I've proven it with our paving project. The more we can use our staff, the more we save, and the more we get done. So again, it's about retainage, and then the second carpenter is being able to hire a skilled person, having a salary there that will attract the right person. That's really what this is about, at least for those 2. And then the 3 additional part-timers for the 2027 budget, that's nothing we're worried about now, but that is something I would like to have a discussion about moving forward with the 2027 budget.
Yes, please, go ahead. Councilmember Batson.
So it's adding $64,000 to the budget. Is that budgeted? Is that, well, we're going to be spending $64,000 more. Is that budgeted, or if not, where's the money coming from?
So 2026, it would not be a budget issue. It's not specifically in our budget to have this organizational structure, of course, but given the vacancies we've had and continue to have on this crew this year, it would not be a budget concern for that code in 2026. But the $64,000 is looking at annualized costs. So looking ahead to 2027, assuming that we're fully staffed, then it would be an increase in that crew's cost.
So the money is there for this year, but possibly not next year.
Right.
We've had a significant amount of turnover this year. We've had various reasons for employees to leave. That crew, the full-time crew, is down about 4 employees at the moment.
Right, that was the point that I was hoping the council would get, that it's not adding any expenses this year, but potentially going forward, they'll have to deal with
I
it.
think as you mentioned, was the 2027 budget discussions that have to be addressed.
Right.
I saw two hands, I wasn't sure.
I think she was.
Okay, Councilmember Marks and then Harrington.
I was just going to say, I really appreciate the work that you went through, the staffing review, because quite honestly, I've been down, and I can speak specifically for the parks, all the, Wilbur and Neowa, the amount of work that is done down there. I've watched the seasonal workers, meaning the high school and college students, and it's reassuring that these improvements can be made to our parks, as well as the fact that there would be a cost savings, even though there's vacancies this year, that would still be offset by having those vacancies be filled at that point. So I see it as a savings and a win-win, and I think it's physically worth doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Harrington.
I think I got a series of questions.
A series? Did you write those down?
Series.
I don't want you to be like
Not
Councilmember.
serious.
Serious or series?
Series.
Oh, several, okay, go ahead.
Several.
Several, right.
So out of the $64,000, how much is for the two carpenters' positions?
20,000.
What is it?
20,000.
A piece or just total together?
Total cost for the, I'm sorry, 18,000. I read the wrong number. 18,000 for the two carpenters.
And then means that CSEA, well, I understand it goes to 2027, but if we're gonna approve it now, then it's gonna be 2027. What's the legacy cost and all that when we raise it up? I know I just sounded like,
No, that's okay. I haven't predicted the legacy cost, but I do want the council to know for the 64,000, right now that's assuming family health insurance plans. So that number is subject to change depending on who we hire. But we always try to give you the largest cost. So, but as far as legacy plans, do you mean retirement, post-employment retirement cost? Is that what you're looking for? That I don't have, but I can get that for you.
so how would we, I'm okay with the carpenters, I see the big value because we see the pavilion by using them versus trying to go out. How would we change it if, didn't want to do the part-time, the motion? The part-time supervisor.
I didn't understand your question.
So I'm in favor of the carpenters, I'm not so much in favor of the part-time supervisor position.
Okay.
Do that now. I think that's a bigger discussion down the road, when we do the budget, but the carpenters, I see the value of trying to get somebody in, somebody hired, getting somebody moved up so we can retain them and get that done.
Okay.
So I like
So
that.
you want to make a modification to say the two carpenters, table the part-time supervisor until another time? Until a later time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Add that part of the 2027 budget discussion.
The creation of that. Okay.
That part-time supervisor.
Okay, thank you. We'll get to that.
That's just my opinion, I don't know.
I don't think I looked over here. Yes, please.
I just had a question for Chris about the timing of, can you hear me okay?
Yep, yeah, fine.
The timing of this, it has to do with the need to recruit for these positions, is that correct? Because they do have this additional component of
The
carpentry.
carpenters, yes, definitely.
So my question was really about the timing, that we're having the discussion now as opposed to the budget, during budget time, because of that need for to get a jump start on recruitment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Also, we have these openings, we have 4 openings right now, and they're all maintenance workers. And I'd like to change one of those to a carpenter, so that we can get the skilled workers we need.
Thank you.
Other questions or? Okay, going back to Councilmember Harrington's suggestion on a modification to this plan to narrow it to carpenters and then push part-time supervisor to another time. Any thoughts on that?
I would second that.
It's not a motion, but I just want you're in agreement, you have the same mindset?
Yes.
Okay, others, how do you feel?
Well, I had a quick question about that. So, for the addition of the summer supervisor and then the summer staff, is that an increase of how much in terms of the budget? So if we're
So-
taking, kind of deconstructing the 64,000, right, 18,000 is for the,
The increase from 4 seasonal workers to 6 seasonal workers is
6.
20,000 annually. The increase from going from a full-time working supervisor to a full-time maintenance worker and a part-time working supervisor is 26 annually.
26,000, okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Questions, do you want to make this amendment to the motion? Can we do that, right? Yeah. Do you want to make that change?
Yes.
But before we go, I only concerned we have a couple empty seats tonight. Which sort of, there seems to be, as I look around, left to right, there seems to be more nodding heads on the 2 carpenters versus the part-time supervisor. So it might be the prudent move to do that, and then at another meeting, once we have, let's say, more seats filled here, we can have a more thorough discussion on that. That's on, we have a plan on there? Okay, so make your motion.
So I make a motion that we go ahead with the 2 carpenter positions as has been asked of us, and we will table the others until.
So that'd be an amendment to this motion.
Yeah,
right?
we need to amend.
Yeah, we can do this right.
Hung up on this, but
Yeah.
we need to amend, if you're going to take either amend it to the motion, or make 2 motions. I mean, you have a motion and a second in front of it that's been discussed, so that the original motion has to be addressed.
So we can make an amendment to that motion, correct?
You can make an amendment to the motion.
I can suggest language.
Yeah, suggest the language.
Go ahead.
I'll screw it up again.
Fill in what he wants to say.
I believe Scott just said, motion of the common council authorizes a revised 2026 Department of Public Works Facilities Maintenance Division organizational chart and staffing plan to replace 2 maintenance worker positions with 2 carpenter positions.
Yes.
Okay, so amend the motion as I heard Scott say from over there.
Yes. I threw my voice over.
Okay. Yes, please.
Can I just ask, so we're
Absolutely.
not including the working supervisor
Correct.
at all?
It's more of a, in this motion, correct.
In this
His
motion.
amendment is to exclude that, and the amended motion would be just the carpenter upgrade for right now.
I personally would like to include the working supervisor.
What you have to understand is if you do that, there are only 5 people
Yeah.
here. If one person votes against it, it will fail.
Yeah.
Therefore, you need to conform to the lowest possible
We can
denominator.
discuss this
Take
at
what
the
you
next
can get
meeting.
now, we'll
Okay.
negotiate.
Because once these 2 folks are here and we have someone here, we have a full
You
council.
can count to 5.
Councilmember Marks, I would
I know
also
about
like
people
to
who-
continue that discussion.
As would I.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so
So vote on the amendment.
we can do,
You need a second.
it doesn't kill the issue. it just-
Right, okay, as long as it doesn't kill
But you
the
don't
issue.
need a second.
Okay.
All right, so, okay. Are we good?
We're good?
Good.
All right. I think we've had a fair amount of discussion on this. Any further discussion, or we're ready to go? Okay, Councilor, clerk, please call the roll.
I don't want that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to impose on you. Clerk, will you please call the roll on the amended motion?
I will. Councilmember Roger Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Yes?
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Thank you. Good discussion. So then next meeting, we can address this again. Hopefully, the attendants will have a more thorough discussion about it. Good. Okay, next motion, number 13. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but you know what it is. It's the motion as presented to the common council related to the airport and the grant funding for the taxiway project. I have a motion to accept as presented. Councilmember Matheson is first, Councilmember Marks is second. Councilmember Matheson in his earlier report had mentioned some concerns or questions related to this particular project and the other projects that are pending at the airport, specifically the trees projects. You know, we don't have to have the same view on this. In my view, as I learned with the FAA, these are very much independent projects. So this moving forward has no real bearing at all on the tree project. Neither does that have on this. With the FAA, it seems like they're very apt to break things apart in the sense that they'll do one project at a time. This one will not, if you were to break it apart and go fast forward down some cycles through their processing, would not connect to the trees. There's really, this is like a parallel lanes. They're not gonna intersect. That's how I see it, so, yeah, please.
So I understand that, and again, this is just approving the contract, and we've already agreed that this is something that we want to do. The question that I have is, moving a major project forward at the airport, will that help or hurt, and we might not know the answer to this, will it help or hurt the negotiations with the property owners? The reason I think that is because I've discussed this issue a while back with some of the property, at least 3 of the property owners, maybe more. And any changes to the airport, they would be more likely to dig in their heels. Again, that's an impression I have from based on what they said to me.
In my interactions with being the property owners, including last night, it's certainly a very emotional process for them, because you're asking to make changes to the way they've been living for many years. How this would impact negotiations, it's hard to say. My impressions when I've spoken to the property owners, this project doesn't necessarily impact their views. They really want to talk about their properties. And since this is an isolated project to their perspective and how it impacts them, I have not felt any resistance from this relative to the tree project. So in my view, as we go forward with the tree part, this moving forward would not have any material impact on that, at least in my opinions. So if that answers your question.
It does. So we don't know.
Basically, I don't know, but is that, like I said at the top of the agenda, we're entering this new stage of negotiations on the southern part of the airport with the property owners on that side, because the work has now got us to the point where we then engage with them to discuss the easements and the impact of their individual properties. Once the 2-4 side of the north side is done, then we'll engage with them. I could be wrong, because as we have more meetings with them, other projects and other opinions about the airport will likely come up. But very strictly speaking, they really want to know what's the impact to their property specifically, and this doesn't really touch that. So they haven't really brought this up. They're aware of it. They have not voiced any concerns related to the other concerns as I've met with them.
I have a question, and that is that, is there a deadline for this? Because I understand we have to move on this quickly, is that right?
Yeah, this is, as I understand, because with the numbers have changed a little bit, they've kind of gone down a bit. And I know Greg will correct me if I'm wrong, but he doesn't usually do that. Things went down because the taxiway project, they were looking at hangars that would then, the taxiway was sort of like the driveway up to. And since there isn't a specific hangar, the original draft of this intended a hangar to be a part of it, but which is independent from this particular grant project. Since we don't have confirmation of a hangar being built as next to this extension area, they would essentially reduce it to say, well, we're not going to build that apron right now, so that reduced the cost. Thank you.
Was someone interested in a hangar there?
Oh yeah, if we could still do the hangar. It's just we have to look very narrowly when we're dealing with the FAA as far as the application goes. Since the hangar is not confirmed at the time of this, they say, okay, we're not going to do the apron. We're not going to sort of build a bridge to nowhere, so to speak. But that can be done later.
Because my understanding is that we have, I think it's the south end of the runway has a taxiway, is that right?
Partial.
North end is what we're going to be building. In the middle, when we do that, it's going to somehow make the hangars not usable that we have?
Yeah, conceptually speaking, then those would be not usable. It could be relocated, or they could be, a new hangar could be built. There's options there, and it would essentially move south. I got those directions.
That's why we're moving the road, the access road.
Yeah, essentially into that area. But since there isn't a plan on the table yet, where there is an actual developer with the money on hand to do that, it's really just a conceptual process right now. So they eliminated that from their project scope, the apron that will go up to any particular hangar. If we had a hangar ready to go, say this is the design concept, this is the budget, this is what we're going to do, which is again independent of the FAA, then they would have included the apron that goes up to that hangar as part of this project, but since that doesn't exist at the moment, they cut that part out, which brought those numbers down. So this is still ready to go. And then with the tree part, there was I forget the name of the meeting, but there was a meeting with the FAA 2 weeks ago, a Zoom meeting, sort of a check-in on this project and the others. And they have these cycles on their review of projects and their decision to fund certain projects. And in that one, this was discussed, the roadway was discussed, and the trees were discussed. And the trees, like I said before, were separated in the sense that if we have agreement with the property owners this year for the southern side of the 6th side of the runway airport, then they'll move forward with that in their review process for 2027. 2-4 sites, since we don't have the appraisals and that work has been completed with those properties, then they essentially separated the two. So now it's essentially become 2 projects in the view of the FAA. The southern side or the 6th side, and the 2-4 on the northern side. So right now, we're addressing the property owners on the southern side, and if we have a meeting of the minds, an agreement with them, then we will inform the FAA that we have an agreement with them about those trees, and then they will include that in their reviews for 2027 cycle. Right?
Thank you.
Did that help?
Thank you,
Any
yes.
other questions, please?
Yeah, just to, focus on like why we're doing this project. My understanding, if I recall correctly, is that this is really to make the airport a safer airport and to increase the safety. So I just wanted to state that, to make sure that remains the focus of, why we're pursuing this.
Indeed, yeah, taxiways are safer for the runway, so airport traffic in general. This is definitely important. Safety came up a number of times. That was a very common word used in those meetings. It's absolutely safety. And so I view this as a requirement that we have to engage with property owners, trying to do it as respectfully as we can, knowing that this is a significant impact to their way of life. And so we have to treat that very carefully. But nonetheless, we still have to engage and do the process. Next, I'll give updates as they come forward, as they're important. But since we kind of opened the door, and now we're into this new engagement process with property owners, it seems like now is a good time for an update. Are we ready? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mosher Kimball.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Thank you. So that was number 13. So now we're to number 14. Okay, this is, I think we're on to go. Motion that the Common Council authorizes the city administrator to execute an agreement with Passero Associates in Rochester, New York, having been selected through a request for qualifications procurement process for the provision of construction administration and observation services for the construction taxiway, Phase 1 partial parallel TWRW24, that's the runway. Construction project at the Albert S. Nader Regional Airport with a total cost of $802,400. This agreement is subject to the city, to review by the city attorney. Is that a motion? Motion Campbell first, second, Councilmember Harrington. Any discussion on this? It just kind of ties into what we just discussed. Any additional thoughts? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mosher Kimball.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, number 15, in the same vein of thinking. Motion that the Common Council approves the purchasing agent's recommendation to award the base bid for the Construct Taxiway Phase 1, partial parallel TWRW24, the construction project at the Albert S. Nader Regional Airport to the lowest responsive qualified bidder, Upstate Companies of Mount Upton, New York, in the amount of $3,349,225. Motion, please. Councilmember Matheson first, and second. Councilmember Campoli second. Any discussion on this? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mosher. Councilmember Mosher Kimball.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're moving to the roundtable section. I didn't have any bullet items to add on there. I didn't receive any notifications of bullet items to put on there before the agenda went out. But of course, that doesn't eliminate the possibility to do so now.
Just a quick check-in, and I saw Jesse here earlier who did the housing presentation for us about a month ago. And from the collaboration with the college there. And I know there had been talk, she followed up with me recently, and there was talk of connecting her with the Southern Tier 8 and some follow-up, and I was just wondering what our plan was to connect her with that resource.
I have to go to my notes on who offered that connection.
Okay.
I think Judy has suggested it.
That was
Okay.
Judy, she
Okay.
and it came next year when that connection's been made. That's right, that was
Okay.
Judy.
I-
You want to follow up with her on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd be happy to, as long as I know who it comes from.
Yeah.
She did contact me. Okay, thank you.
I don't know if it was correct, thank you. Good memory over there. Whoever's taking notes. Thank you. Okay, other roundtable discussions? Topics? We don't have to do it every time, so that's good. We have other items to discuss. So we're gonna move to the 2027 budget discussion. Two parts tonight, which are the 2026 financial highlights and projection, and the 2027 baseline budget projection. So,
She's walking around.
Can I ask,
Yeah,
is
please.
it possible to speak for 5 minutes?
Oh, sure. Want to take 5 minutes?
Focus, is that all right?
Absolutely. We'll start at 6:50 with that one. Sound good?
Thank you.
Please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. All right, so in your budget books, or in front of you, I inserted 2 new sections into your budget book. One is under the 2026 tab for the 2026 financial highlights and 27 considerations. Also, I've also inserted graphs, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Alan Ruffles made all the graphs for me. And how he does it is he downloads information from the state controller's office, and then he's able to just take that information and turn it into these graphs. So I'm very appreciative. He also took it from my Excel files that I gave you last time. And so anyway, I just wanted to start with that to go over. A lot of what is in your 26 financial highlights was also in the 25 financial highlights memo, so I'm not going to go over all of it because I'm just going to highlight the updated information. So for the tax levy, you'll see that I just gave you the 2026 tax levy and what the percentage change was and the averages since 2017 and also since 2022. I'll give you a minute to go these in your.
Jeannie, where are you?
Under your 2026 tab.
Yep.
First page.
And it's a memo dated August 18th. Is it there for you?
Yeah, it should be the first page.
Okay. Take a minute now.
Okay.
I'll pay attention next time.
Still works.
It just says 2 for me.
Mine was 2025 and then 2026.
Yeah,
I'll put that down. Yep.
I know
Oh,
this
it's-
tab doesn't have 26
It's
on it, so I'm going to replace it.
I found it, but thank you.
Okay, so the pilot agreement information on page 2 is basically the same as what I provided in the previous memo. So now if we go to page 3, the general fund, the 26 adopted budget versus the adjusted budget has been increased for the items that I'm just going to describe below. In the unrestricted fund balance, the reencumbrances of the 25 purchase orders increased the adjusted budget by $266,620. We also did a budget adjustment for marketing, communications, and public information efforts of $25,000, and emergency management plan for $19,805, and fire overtime of $155. That's coming out of the unrestricted fund balance. Out of the restricted fund balance increases, we had reencumbrances of $240,000. And I just want you to know this reencumbrance has been out there since about 2022, 2023. It's for the DPW big truck. So it's just taking a very long time for that to arrive. A police vehicle of $48,859, airport fuel farm of $25,600, airport access road, just an additional $79, fire and EMS records management of $6,750, an additional sidewalk work of $17,735. So that is how the 2026 budget has been modified since its adoption. Sales tax history, again, this is a repeat of the previous memo, but I want to just highlight that as of May of 26, we've collected $2,898,728, which is a total of $174,232, or 6.4% greater than 25. This is also 46% of our adopted budget, and this is only through the June. Next thing I would like to highlight is on page 4, it's on the ambulance calls. The ambulance calls billed January through June total 1,103 as compared to 1,170 in 2025. The ambulance revenues for as of June 26 is $622,905. And the ambulance activity has exceeded pre-pandemic levels. I pointed that out at the last meeting also. The fire protection town, there's no updates there from our previous discussion. Interest earnings, due to the Tyler conversion, not everything is 100% up to date right now. So I've got interest earnings as of May 31st, which is 105,289. But the restricted, I was able to get through June 30th, which is 191,4. Our court and parking fines, 2026 year-to-date, parking fines is 24,000 and court fines is 22,000. And the state aid, what I would like to emphasize on the state aid is that the city did receive its additional temporary state aid payment of $777,498 on August 11th. And that was triple the amount from 2024 and 25. However, this was a one-year program, so we do not have any guarantees of what the state may give us in 2027.
I just got a note, I got an email about that. It's a very weird email to get. Did you get it too? 2 sentences. The $707 has been distributed.
Yeah, so.
It's a funny email.
I also, yeah, it's a funny email to get though.
Yeah, it's good, yeah, it's happy, but it's just funny.
The other revenue sources, this is year-to-date, I just listed the majority of our other revenue sources. So from this section, everything that I have provided to you covers all of the majority of the revenues that we have received in 2026 to date. So if we move to expenses on page 6, I've given you history of salary and fringe benefits for citywide costs. This isn't just the general fund, but I wanted to give you the entirety of the entire workforce. So as of, this is the pay period ending August 9th. Year-to-date, salaries and fringe benefits total $11,877,000. I broke that down for the overtime. Year-to-date is $674,000. Police and fire, year-to-date, police is 181 and fire is 310. And then for the fringe benefits, health insurance, as of August 9th, was $2,797,000, and retirement is $1,586,000. That is the.
I'm sorry, I had a question, but wondering.
Okay, I was just gonna say, those are the majority of our expenses. One thing that, I don't usually list it, but I always tell the council, year-to-date, all of our debt payments have been made on time. America could try to make them 1 day early, just in case there's something that happens in the clearinghouse as far as transferring funds, but all of those are done. And one thing Chris mentioned about change of staff, so our unemployment expenses are a little higher this year than budgeted due to the turnover in staff. And Greg and I have been doing budget transfers right now to capture that, but depending on how much longer they go on, we may have to actually look at the council because they may see Greg's.
I have a question on that, chart there. I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. On the first one, top of page 6, it says on the salary report, as of August 9, 2026, that 19, the first figure, is that as of 19 or is it the budget year 2026?
That's, the first column is the budget.
That's the budget, so then the next one over is the as
And
of.
the next one is the actual, correct.
All right,
So
okay.
our budget is $19,736,000.
That's, okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't as of budget.
And I'm sorry, that's a little confusing.
No, that's what I want to clarify. And then the other question is there, I might be looking at, I'm not, is there a relationship as far as actual to budget, as far as like where breakage happens on these salary benefits? Because like, you know, the actual amount, but I'm not sure if that's on pace to catch up to the 19 or where that might, where we might be.
I have not, I will be doing that in the projections, which I have not, I don't have that ready, I'm gonna have that ready for the next meeting, and I can tell you where we are budget-wise there.
Okay, all right,
Okay?
thank you.
Because I have to analyze the vacancies by
Yeah.
department, and I just haven't had time to do that.
All right, thank you.
right, so we're gonna move to the water fund on page 8. So water fund, the adjusted budget is, went from 3,810,000 to 3,868,000, and was only modified so far by the encumbrances of 58,000, which 49 of it is from the restricted reserves. So, we need to talk about the water bill. So, as of, July 31st, our non-college, revenue sales was 1,742,000. This is an increase of 41,000 or 2.4% from 2025. However, our college sales, if you look at 7/31, it's 381,000. This is lower than 2000. Oh, sorry, that should say 25 instead of 24. 2025 by $130,000 or 25%. The main reason for this decrease in revenues is due to a number of very serious leaks that were fixed on college campuses. So the usage.
You're welcome.
I mean.
I'm not sure I'm ready to say that. but-
Yeah, so the
That
usage,
it's fixed.
the consumption is way down because those leaks have been fixed. So if the 25% for the rest of the year, the budget for the college revenue is gonna be short by 283,000. This I'm estimating to be reduced by an overage of 80,000 on the non-college sales. And then also, it's very important to note that in the 26-27 college year, it's expected that 200 less college students will be in the Oneonta area. This is going to affect our water and sewer revenues. It's also going to affect our general fund, and it's also going to affect our OPT fund. So I'm gonna stress that.
How'd you project that number?
Well,
Because it's higher.
I don't have that projection ready yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze consumption, but because of the leaks being repaired, it's even gonna make it more difficult. So, I will get back to you on that question next time. Sewer fund, 2026 adopted budget is 3.197. That's been modified up to the 3.3, which again is due to the encumbrance of the 2025 purchase orders. Again, the non-college rents for sewer rents is up by 78,000 as compared to 2025. And the college sewer rents is lower than 25 by, again, 125,000, about 26%. If this continues throughout the rest of the year, that budget is going to be short by about 261,000. And that will be reduced by, I'm guesstimating right now, about 33,000 for non-sewer rents, non-college sewer rents. So again, usage will affect our sales. Now, we are negotiating possible expanding our customer base, but that will not happen for this year.
When you say this year, you mean 2026, not 2027?
2026, correct.
Thank you.
Okay, page 10, the other thing I really want to highlight here is our minor sales, which is for our septic dumping billings. That is up to, right now, as of July, it's 77,716, which is about 24,000 higher than 2025. Enterprise fund, what I wanted to highlight here is that one, at a future meeting, we're hoping to provide 2026 passenger and mile stats. Right now, because of computer issues, we're not able to grab that information accurately. So we're hoping to be able to present that to you in a while. The new computer just arrived, I think, yesterday. And, but I also wanted to highlight that we've got the $273,605 surplus from 25 carrying into 26. And we also have 5311 operating aid of $246,750 for both 24 and 25 that we'll be able to utilize this year. So if OPT does run a deficit, we're going to have, approximately 700,000 available to cover that. And then I also wanted to point out that the STOA aid received to date is $1,379,000 as compared to $1,097,000 from 2025. Any questions?
Do we, oh, I'm jumping way ahead.
wanna wait?
I'll get back when the baseball games close, I was just wondering how our ridership was.
Okay, on page 12, I provided the summary of capital project expenditures. Please just make a little correction on the header, it should say year-to-date 2026. And it shows that since 2018, this does not include the transit hub, but since 2018, we have invested more than $54 million in capital projects. And I broke it out by category there for your review. Okay, all right, now, for 2027 considerations, as I stated prior, it's expected that we're going to have less college students in the area, and if COVID proved anything to everyone, is how important our college students and our college activity is to our community. So this may have an effect on the general water, sewer, and enterprise funds, and we're going to have to anticipate that when we go into the actual budget process. Also, a preliminary projection has been completed regarding the 2027 citywide wages and fringe benefit costs. And that projection was based on the current number of approved positions, contractual base salary increases for all of the collective bargaining units, no increases in any overtime budgets, no increases in any part-time budgets, non-union employees receiving a $1,500 base increase, 15% increase in health insurance, 10% increase in the New York State retirement system. So wages comes to a little over $279,000, health insurance $527,000, retirement $368,000, and FICA $21,000. So it's a total a projection right now of almost $1.2 million, and that's with absolutely no staff changes.
Couple questions on that. On the insurance part, that 15%, that you said is projection. What are the parameters of that projection?
Well, as of right now, the last consortium board meeting we had, the projection was 14%.
Mm-hmm.
And I can show you the formula. They have a 12-month look-back period, and then they take out the large claims, and then they take out the nonstop, and then they add back in what they think is going to happen with people that go over the threshold. And so you probably are very familiar with the formula.
I would not say very familiar, but certainly appreciative.
Yeah, so I can show it to you.
Yeah.
But as of right now, the projection is about 14%. So for this projection, we did 15.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on when we finally do the renewal rates, what the 12-month look-back period is going to.
Is that projection across, like you were saying before, when you budget family plans versus single or dependent plans?
Yes, this is just on total on our current budget for our current, and what it is our current coverage that we have.
Okay.
So, and then if we have a vacancy, we budget a family plan.
Okay. And then Siri.
I thought you were done, I'm sorry.
I don't know, I got a series of questions.
Okay.
And the 10%, again, the parameters on that projection, the 10%, for the retirement part.
For the retirement,
Yeah.
the retirement, if you look at the pension liability that is unfunded at the retirement system,
Mm-hmm.
it will, our portion, I believe, is about $7 million, if I remember the number correctly. And what they do is they give us a long-term projection, and then that's what I base the 10% on. But we will get the final rates in September, and then we'll know what the actual rate increase is going to be.
Could it be less?
Possibly.
Of
Just to give you, I'm gonna age myself here, Mayor, but to give you a little history, we used to budget 3% for our contribution to the retirement system years ago.
Yeah.
It's now 40% for fire, depending if they're still in tier 2, up in the upper 30s if they're in tier 4, and this is up for the uniform people. And now ERS is around 17% for the people that are in tier 4s. Tier 6 is around 12%. So, and I showed you in the last presentation that the retirement has gone up 75% since I think it was 2017. Okay, that's my highlights for the 26th. And our next meeting, I hope to have a projection of where I think we will close out on 26. It will be a very high level projection, and then we can, discuss that in detail, and that's when I would have to, account for the vacancies and things like that. So, if there's any other questions?
You have a question?
I did.
A question or questions?
I don't know yet.
We'll see
how
how
this
it
goes.
goes.
I think it's one good question, actually. So these projections, did that include the other stuff that we did not pass tonight, the supervisor position, the extra?
No, it did not. It include current staff, what we currently have on the payroll right now.
Okay, I think that's important though, to put in what that projection would be to consider if we're gonna, at the next meeting, if we're gonna.
We are updating it right now. I had staff start updating it with actually the change in staff, the change in titles, and we'll put those projections in.
I'm sure we'll have that for the next meeting. Well, we can obviously project the 64,000 for what we're talking about tonight, but to look at other potential staffing changes, I suppose, and you want to look at all of that together to compare, right? That's probably not going to be ready for the next council. We have to get all of our department head requests in and all of that, and consider what other.
I just meant, that I know it's gonna come further. I was just curious about what was in front of us tonight. If we would have passed it the way it stood, how much would this 1.1, almost 1.2 number go up for 2027?
I don't think it would change much because this is a projection of increases because those are essentially, you wouldn't go up 64.
But yeah, but you're also adding in on retirement because your
I understand.
carpenters are going more, so your FICA and all that stuff, retirement, your, wages, because now you're gonna get into the contract of how much 2027 they go up, because you've upped their base pay. And so we'll have.
Yeah, other questions?
Okay. All right, so now I'd like you to go to the graph section under the budget, please. Okay, so what I want you to understand on these graphs, this is 2024 data. Not all municipalities have uploaded the 2025 data to the state controller's office yet. So we wanted to have all inclusive, so this is the 24 data. And what this is going to be very similar to the state comparisons that we did last year. So what this is, the first section is going to be peer city comparisons. So if you go to page 3, this is a bit of a summary of the data that was pulled from the state controller's office. So it shows Oneonta with our population estimate of just over 13,000, our total revenue of 42 million. That includes all funds. That is our general water, sewer, CDE, capital projects, every fund that we operate in the city. And then total expenditures of the 41.6 and our total outstanding debt as of the 24th. So then you will see that we calculated it per capita on these different categories. The revenue per capita, we are high compared to our peers, and that is because City of Oneonta has a lot more funds than a lot of other municipalities, especially our OPT fund. And also, we have received a lot of grant money for all of our different capital projects, and especially with the OPT Transit Hub. And then also if we have bonding, that can also affect because that's considered a revenue source. So then expenditures per capita, again, you will see that we're not quite to the high section, but we're just shy of it. Now, then you're going to see the property tax. We are the fourth lowest in the city comparisons. The sales tax per capita, again, we have a good solid sales tax number, which shows how well we do here economically. And then the public safety per capita, this shows that it's low compared to the other places. However, the other places have departments that we don't have. They may have emergency management, they may have last year. They may have a Homeland Security Department, things like that in their public safety. Employees per capita, or the employee benefits per capita, it's showing low compared to other places. Even though our health insurance costs are high when we compare it to the other employee benefit codes, we rank lower than, we're 12th out of 31. And then the debt per capita is a reasonable comparison, and also compared to our full value. And then our revenue expenditure margin is also very strong.
What is debt as percent of full value?
So what they're looking at is the full equalization rate value of all of our properties that exist. And the further, as we go through, you're going to see these graphs that kind of detail this out. Okay, so on page 4, you're going to see the total revenue per capita, and this is a detail of the summary that we just went over. And you will see it by the cities that are listed. The reason Fulton and Ithaca are at the bottom is because they have not filed any of their financial information with the state controller's office. I believe Ithaca hasn't done it for years. And then you will see that Oneonta is the 4th highest in this peer city comparison. The next graph on page 5 is the public safety expenditure per capita, and you will see that we are number 7 out of the 29 that reported.
I guess there's a couple different ways to look at that. Is that meaning we're not spending enough on public safety, or?
Well, if you have to look at, you also have to look at the other services that the other municipalities offer. If you look at public safety, you'll see that it's 52% of our current general fund budget now.
Right, I know that. I was just wondering, like, in comparison, where you guys really comparison here?
Yeah.
Just gotta look at of communities of similar composition as ours. It's hard to get a line for line, you know.
Right.
So
So like,
Norwich is nearby,
Yeah.
but they don't have 2 colleges. Idaho, they're farther away. Amsterdam.
And as I said, they may offer, you know, Alan was telling me some of them have a Homeland Security Department. Some of them have, you know, an emergency disaster department. We don't have those.
It also has to do with crime. You know, we luckily we have low crime, and we haven't had that many fires. We're very lucky. Right?
yeah, those are jinx words.
Is that-
Yeah, no,
Those are jinx words that you just said.
Oh, well, I don't know.
I agree.
That's like using the Q word. We don't do that.
Page 6, this shows our sales tax revenue per capita. Again, this is all the detail is from the summary that was on the first one that we discussed. And you will see that we are the 10th out of the 29 reported.
And our sales tax brings in how much of our overall budget?
I'm sorry, it's kind of.
What's the percentage of the sales tax for our whole budget?
You're going to see it, just move.
Oh, okay, I'll shut up now.
Okay, so then what happened, the next graph on page 7 is the equalization rate is applied to all of the taxable core value. So that way we're comparing apples to apples. And you will see that Oneonta is 8 out of the 25 as far as our taxable value.
Where is that? Page of the
It's
table.
on page 7.
It's right after per capita.
Yeah.
It's the city taxable full value.
Yeah, I see. Okay, you see. Okay.
So what this is showing is that these other cities have more taxable value that they can spread their tax levy on. And then the next page, on page 8, shows you the city tax levy comparison. And you will see that we are the fourth lowest out of the 29 cities. And page 9 takes that another step, and it's the full value tax rate comparison. And what this is, it's showing you how much is charged per thousand value of your assessed value. And again, it shows that we're 6 out of 25 there of how much we're charging. Okay, the next section is, this is based on city data. So this is going to be your tax levy, your sales tax, and your fund balance. So Scott, let me know if this section answers your question. So on page 11, what this does, this shows our tax levy history and our annual percentage change. So the blue line is our actual levy, and the green line is the percentage. And this just shows how we have progressed since 2013 with our tax levy. And then to extend on that, on page 12, it shows the tax levy percentage change versus the cost of living increase. So again, the blue line is our tax levy percentage change. The green line is the cost of living change. And you'll see the gap between the two and how, because we weren't keeping pace, how in the last 2 years we had to make attempts to make up for it. So on page 13 is the sales tax and tax levy as a share of the general fund revenues. And I think this is your question, Scott. So you will see, going back to 2017, the blue is our sales tax and the green is our tax levy, and it shows the percentage right there on the bar. All of these graphs that we're talking about now is actually in your August 4th detail. All the Excel files, all of the numbers. This is just a visual of that information. Page 14 shows sales tax collected and the percentage increase from the prior year. It's just showing you, again, the same data in a visual. Obviously, 2020 was COVID related. And then page 15, the sales tax percentage change versus the tax levy percentage change. Again, it's just showing you how we increased our sales tax revenues versus how we increased our tax levy revenues. Sales tax is out of our control. Tax levy is in our control. And obviously, going from 20 to 21, the large spike is because of COVID. Page 16 just shows sales tax and real property taxes as a share. So this is just a very blunt visual to show you the strength of our sales tax versus our tax levy and what it provides for our general fund. So to give perspective to this, because you've heard me talk about that we should always have our tax levy more than our sales tax. So what we did is we have a sales tax and real property tax comparison on page 17 of the other cities in our comparison. There's 15 cities listed here. 10 of them have a higher tax levy than they do their sales tax revenue. So I just wanted that visual for you so you can see how we compare to the other municipalities. Okay, page 18. General fund balance growth, this is just a graph. Again, just a visual so you can see how our general fund balance growth has happened since 2016. to extend that as far as on the general fund on page 19, it shows you our unassigned general fund balance to the percentage of our total fund balance. So the unassigned, unrestricted fund balance, that's what this is. So as of the end of 2025, 49.69% of our unassigned general fund balance was the percentage of our total fund balance. That's a very strong number. The next section is a history going back to 2022. It's just a visual of our budgeted city revenue sources. And I'm not going to go over each one of these, but I would like you to take 2022 and then compare it to 2026. What this visual shows you is where our where our $1 comes from. How much? What does $1? How do we generate $1 from our expenses? So you'll see in 2022, sales tax generated 30 cents, our tax levy generated 30 cents, and our fund balances generated 1 cent and 2 cents in 2022. 2026, our sales tax and our tax levy is 28 cents and 26 cents, but now our fund balance is doing 8 cents and 7 cents. Some of that was on purpose because we set up our restricted reserves to fund our major equipment purchases. So that was our goal. But it's the unrestricted fund balance that is now funding more of our budget because the other revenue sources just aren't quite where they need to be. And then the final one is just the key takeaways, which basically just summarizes everything that we just discussed. Now for the next presentation, I just wanted the council's input. Would you like to see any other graphs that we have provided tonight?
Any requests?
There's a lot of information here. It's a very good study. It's a very good read. If you have any questions, I can meet with you on one-on-one, and we can go over any questions that you might have. Or you can email your questions, and I can email all the council members the answers so they know what the other council members' questions were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any petitioners that would like to take the second opportunity? Seeing none, we'll move on to the executive session. We'll have an executive session for the purposes of personnel agenda. So what is it for executive session? Second, first, second, and